Get dinner and a shower ready, slave. Don't play the pregnancy card. Those words were followed by a sudden impact on my back. As I was trying to get up, my body collapsed back onto the floor. Ouch! What are you doing? Shut up! Those who slack off at work need to be punished, right? Saying this, Thornton raised his foot again, aiming at me, unable to move from the pain. Just as I braced myself, trying to protect my unborn child at all costs. Is that all you have to say? A chillingly cold, deep voice resonated. What the, huh? I turned towards the voice and my eyes widened in shock, my face turning pale. In stark contrast to my reaction, I felt tears of relief seeing who it was. There stood my brother and his wife, faces full of anger. Immediately, my brother pulled Thornton away from me, while Layla helped me to my feet. Why are you two here? Thornton, probably confused as well, yelled out, only to be met with a cold glare from my brother. Felice is my sister. Huh? I am Felice, a 27-year-old working mother. My parents divorced when I was in middle school, and I ended up living with my mother. Though she was a single mother, her earnings were sufficient for both of us. And since the divorce was amicable, my father continued to pay child support, so we were never financially troubled. However, the move following the divorce made it difficult to see my brother, who was already living independently. That was the only downside. No matter how far you go, I'm still your big brother. Don't hesitate to rely on me if you need anything. Yeah, thank you. Despite the distance, my brother always looked out for me, occasionally visiting and sending gifts during holidays, maintaining our bond. Growing up without major hardships, I managed to become independent. Things went smoothly until recently, when my mother passed away due to an illness. At that time, I couldn't rely on my brother, and I didn't have my father's contact details, so I had to struggle alone. Are you okay? I know you're strong, but I want you to rely on me too. That's when I met my husband, Thornton. We were introduced through a friend. During that period, overwhelmed with my mother's funeral and everything else, Thornton stayed by my side, always prioritizing me, his sincere attitude earning my trust. After a year of dating, we got married. Some people said, "Isn't it too fast? Shouldn't you date a little longer?" But I really love you. That's why I want to be with you as soon as possible. Thornton was so insistent on marriage that I decided to go ahead with it. Thornton, huh? Even my calm brother Art seemed a bit skeptical at that time. Still, he kindly watched over us. My in-laws appeared to be gentle people, and I felt at ease. Felice, use this for your wedding. It's our gift to you. But, we decided we'd cover our parents' part too. With that, my brother contributed to the wedding costs, allowing us to have a lavish ceremony. However, at my brother's insistence, we kept it a secret from Thornton that my brother paid for it. After the wedding, my in-laws didn't interfere much in our life. You'd feel suffocated if we got too involved, right? They maintained a comfortable distance, which made me truly grateful for marrying Thornton. That was until I became pregnant. It happened a few days ago. I wasn't feeling well, so I went to the doctor. Congratulations! That's when I found out I was pregnant. I was thrilled and immediately shared the news with Thornton upon his return home. I was sure he would be happy too. But, is that so? Thornton's response seemed disinterested. Taken aback, I couldn't help but feel let down. Aren't you happy? Yeah, sure. I'm happy. I'm having a kid before my boss. That boss he referred to was likely my brother. Although my brother and I work at the same company, we're in different departments. He's a sales manager, while I'm just an office worker. We rarely talk at work. What Thornton doesn't know is that the sales manager is my brother. Keep it a secret that I'm your brother. My brother had requested, so I had. Why was my brother being brought up as a point of comparison? Why are you mentioning Art? I just don't like the guy. Apparently, Thornton has a hard time dealing with my brother. My brother used to be Thornton's mentor and had been quite strict with him. On top of that, my brother was married to Layla, whom Thornton had feelings for back then. Now, it seems Thornton views my brother as a rival. If I had met Layla first... Oh, never mind. I'm all about Felice now. I know. I nodded with a smile, but deep inside, something didn't sit right. Indeed, as Thornton said, my brother and his wife don't have kids. Thornton seemed pleased to have a child before my brother, who he sees as a rival. It's not about our child, is it? I'm not particularly fond of kids, to be honest. Thornton's reply to my mumble caught me off guard. I had never heard him say that before, and stared at him in surprise. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Just keep doing what I've been doing? Yeah, as long as you do that, I won't have anything to complain about. Although I felt uneasy about Thornton's words, I nodded. Felice, are you okay? You seem lost in thought. The next day, at work, I couldn't focus, preoccupied with Thornton's words, when my senior colleague approached me. Her name is Layla, my brother's wife, meaning she's my sister-in-law. I confided in Layla about my pregnancy, Thornton's words, and how I felt about it all. Indeed, that reaction is concerning. Layla said, her face marked with puzzlement, but she quickly turned to me with a smile. I should have said this first. Congratulations on your pregnancy, Felice. Thank you. Her kind smile was so genuine, I couldn't help but smile back. Layla is truly a wonderful person, and I deeply respect her. When I learned that my brother had married such an amazing woman, I felt genuinely happy to have her as a sister-in-law. It made sense to me why Thornton had feelings for her. If you need anything during your pregnancy, let me know. I'm here to help. Not just with work, but in your personal life too, if you want. Her offer filled me with gratitude. Felice? Oh, brother, it's rare for you to approach me at work. Well, yeah, I heard about the pregnancy. Soon after, my brother, who seemed to have heard the news from Layla, congratulated me. He blessed my pregnancy and promised to send a gift later. While he was explaining some details about maternity leave, is there something you want from my wife, Art? Thornton arrived, looking displeased. My brother gave him a momentarily bothered look. I was just explaining a few things since I heard about the pregnancy. I'll leave it to you now. With that, my brother quickly walked away. Watching him leave, Thornton sighed in exasperation. Are you close with Art? Well, he is the husband of a senior colleague. Same office, right? I had to skirt around the truth to honor my brother's request to keep our relationship a secret. You seem close with Layla. She was my mentor. Lucky you, having Layla as a mentor. Thornton calling her by her first name left me feeling uneasy again. Layla had told me, just call me by my first name. After all, I'm your sister. So, I got used to addressing her that way. But it felt different when Thornton did it, especially since he doesn't know the real connection between us. And given that he's supposedly unrelated to Layla, it seemed even more inappropriate. Are you taking maternity leave? Yeah, that's the plan. I told Thornton so. But at the time, I wasn't planning to hurry into it. However, as morning sickness worsened my condition, and with Layla's encouragement, I decided to start my maternity leave earlier than planned. That decision would soon reveal Thornton's true nature. Ugh, I feel sick. My morning sickness intensified, leaving me constantly nauseous and unable to perform household chores as before. How long are you going to lounge around? If you're not working, at least do the housework properly. Thornton's gaze and attitude towards me turned cold, and when I said, I feel sick, please let me rest, he would click his tongue obviously. Layla would have done the chores perfectly. Hearing such murmurs shocked me, and from then on, Thornton started complaining about every little thing at home. If I managed to prepare a meal, it's just frozen food. What a lazy effort. Or if I was too weak to clean, the house is filthy. You're home all day. You should clean it properly. And more. You should know when I'll be home. Get the shower ready. His words began to corner me emotionally. Thornton, please don't talk like that. I'm carrying your child, remember? Shut up! And I told you, just do things as usual. I never thought he meant it in such a way. His words almost brought me to tears. Thornton looked at me with a cold gaze. I wanted help, but my mother was gone, and I had no family home to return to. I thought about reaching out to my in-laws. Don't trouble my parents, Thornton said. After much thought, I decided to contact my brother. What's wrong, Felice? Did something happen? I'm sorry. Felice, it's okay. Take your time and tell me. Soon, Layla over the phone, and upon hearing my plea for help, I'll be right there. Just lie down and wait, she said. Her words brought me relief, and I drifted off to sleep. Hey, wake up! I don't know how much time had passed when Thornton's voice woke me. Asleep in the middle of the day? Not doing chores? You've got some nerve. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. Don't make excuses. You're so useless. His heartless words made tears well up in my eyes. If you've got time to cry, hurry up and do the housework. I tried to get up at his words, but I couldn't. Get dinner and a shower ready, slave. Don't play the pregnancy card. Those words were followed by a sudden impact on my back. As I was trying to get up, my body collapsed back onto the floor. Ouch! What are you doing? Shut up! Those who slack off at work need to be punished, right? Saying this, Thornton raised his foot again, aiming at me, unable to move from the pain. Just as I braced myself, trying to protect my unborn child at all costs. Is that all you have to say? A chillingly cold, deep voice resonated. What the? Huh? I turned toward the voice, and my eyes widened in shock, my face turning pale. In stark contrast to my reaction, I felt tears of relief seeing who it was. There stood my brother and his wife, faces full of anger. Immediately, my brother pulled Thornton away from me, while Layla helped me to my feet. Sorry, we're late, Felice! Layla apologized, her eyes brimming with tears. She was holding a grocery bag, and I later learned they were late because they stopped to buy ingredients to cook me a meal. While Layla genuinely expressed her regret, my brother gave Thornton a cold stare. Why are you two here? We were called here. She's suffering from morning sickness and needed help. It should have been your job to help. How can Felice contact Art? Are you two having an affair? Confused, Thornton muttered, but my brother gave him a cold glare. Felice is my sister. Huh? Thornton was stunned by my brother's words. He quickly snapped back to reality and shouted, It's a lie! Our last names are different! Our parents are divorced. Felice and I are just siblings with a significant age gap. What's wrong with a sister asking her brother for help? Thornton hung his head. But, and he muttered. Thornton looked down, unable to respond, and my brother sighed deeply. I didn't know that. I told her to keep it a secret. My brother then explained why he hadn't shared this with me. He realized that Thornton disliked him, and also harbored feelings for Layla. If you knew she was my sister, who knows what you might have done to her? That's why he told me to keep it a secret. I never imagined he was protecting me. Despite the situation, I felt happy. My brother had always cared for and protected me. The reason I cared for Felice isn't just because she's my beloved brother's sister. More than that, it's because Felice is kind and adorable. I've been looking after her, and I'll never forgive anyone who hurts her, especially someone like you. What? Thornton was visibly shaken by Layla's words. And, Thornton still prefers Layla over me. I realized. Suddenly, my sadness turned into anger. Despicable! I was then helped into the car by my brother. Felice, where's everything you need for the doctor's visit? It's all in the backpack in the living room. Layla then gathered my things for me. Before Thornton could regain his composure, we got into the car. I'm divorcing you, I declared. Thornton, in a panic, tried to chase after us, but we ignored him and drove away. We went to the hospital just to be sure, and thankfully they confirmed there were no complications. You did well. Don't hesitate to ask for anything. I ended up staying with my brother and his wife. Layla spoke to me gently, and overwhelmed by her warmth, I began to pour my heart out. I really did love Thornton. It's been tough. You did well. You did well. They both responded, nodding in understanding. I was deeply grateful for their support. That night, I managed to rest properly for the first time in a while, and it even seemed to ease the morning sickness a bit. Still, the nausea persisted. Felice, can you eat anything? I'm sorry, not right now. Don't force yourself. They spoke to me with such kindness. I glanced at my phone and noticed texts from Thornton. Had he shown any remorse or a desire for me to come back, it might have swayed me. But, you made Layla hate me. Clear up this misunderstanding with Layla. Try to be of some use to me. The messages read. Unbelievable, I exclaimed. This is beyond saving. They agreed, anger evident on their faces as they read the text. A question suddenly occurred to me. Why is he so obsessed with Layla? Well, we once invited him over for dinner. According to my brother, he had invited Thornton over in good faith, hoping to build a better relationship. Thornton fell for Layla at first sight. He should have given up, knowing she was married, but he might have been plotting subtly. Why did he marry me then? Maybe because you're so close to me. So he was circling around. To think I got caught up with such a man. I sighed, but my brother and Layla comforted me. There was no room for anyone to come between such a well-matched and loving couple. Any lingering feelings for Thornton evaporated with his obsession. I ignored his texts. Instead, don't burden a pregnant woman. My brother sent a message from his phone. Am I not intruding by staying here? Not at all. It's a joy to have our dear Felice with us. I married him because he's a family man. Seeing him take action for his family makes me proud and happy. Layla said, making my brother blush. For the first time in a long while, I genuinely laughed. Life at my brother's house was peaceful. My brother and Layla took turns taking leave from work to care for me. How are you feeling today? Thank you, I'm fine today. After my morning sickness finally settled, I returned home with Layla and my brother's assistance. You've been slacking off on the household chores, and now, Layla? Thornton, having been sternly told by my brother to stay at home, was waiting at the house, looking displeased. His face momentarily lit up at the sight of Layla, but she completely ignored him, while my brother glared at Thornton. Sign this. Almost as soon as I sat down, I handed Thornton the divorce papers. He scowled in response. I won't divorce. If you force a divorce, I won't split any assets or pay child support. In response, I showed him the medical report obtained during the hospital visit that day. If you don't sign these divorce papers now, I'll take this to the police. You know you could be arrested, right? Thornton's complexion changed at my words. I feel nothing but disgust for someone like you. I was so happy to hear that she was pregnant. I can't have children myself. What? But I was overjoyed, as if it were my own joy, when I heard my beloved Felice, whom I care for like a real sister, was pregnant. Actually, Layla doesn't have children, not because she doesn't want them, but because she can't. And it's a desperate situation. Despite this, she wholeheartedly celebrated and cherished my pregnancy. But Thornton hurt me, failing to fulfill his parental duties. I'm bothered by your affections and don't want anything to do with you ever again. At Layla's words, Thornton's shoulders slumped and he signed the divorce papers. Just then, the doorbell rang. My brother stood up and headed towards the entrance. What? Dad? Mom? The ones my brother brought in were Thornton's parents. Ignoring a stunned Thornton, they apologized to us. Our foolish son. We're truly sorry. We're really sorry. Apologize now, urged father-in-law, David, grabbing Thornton by the head to make him apologize. Beside him, mother-in-law, Karen, repeatedly apologized. We leave the rest to you. We left Thornton to his parents and exited the house. Almost simultaneously, with the entrance door closing, Thornton's scream echoed. And with that, the divorce I initiated was finalized. Afterwards, I decided to talk to the friend who introduced me to Thornton. The friend who introduced me to Thornton was aware of his feelings for Layla. Yet, I've given up on that unrequited love. Now, I prefer the one beside Layla, Thornton had claimed. When I told the friend about Thornton's behavior, I never thought he was that kind of guy. I'm sorry. They were shocked and apologized profusely, leading me to forgive them. Was it okay to forgive so easily? It's fine. They were really angry and even said they'd cut ties with Thornton. True to their word, the friends severed all connections with Thornton. They also informed other friends, so Thornton was likely to become isolated. Eventually, I gave birth safely and managed to collect child support and compensation from Thornton. Thanks to my brother and Layla sharing the incident at work, Thornton faced disdain from colleagues and eventually resigned. I could return to work without the fear of encountering him. However, as I was about to leave the hospital with a sense of relief, wait, is that Thornton? I froze. Spotting Thornton standing outside the hospital. Why is he here? What does he want now? Police? What's wrong? Doctor? Lost in thought, I was approached by Dr. Lloyd, a kind man who always sincerely listened to my concerns. He noticed Thornton too. Excuse me, please watch her for a moment. Dr. Lloyd called a nurse to stay with me and approached Thornton. What are you doing here? My wife and child are supposed to be here. That's strange. You don't have a wife anymore, do you? I had made sure the hospital staff were aware of Thornton, showing them his picture and explaining the situation. They must have kept him out, and Dr. Lloyd confidently confronted him. I must say, if you can't cherish a pregnant wife, you shouldn't marry anyone. Dr. Lloyd's firm statement seemed to infuriate Thornton, who lunged at him, but was restrained by security. And rest assured, I will make them happy. Thornton's protests were cut short as he was taken away by the police someone had called. Dr. Lloyd returned after witnessing it all. How about we go for a meal? He blushed slightly as he invited me, causing me to blush too. Felice is quite something. Truly, she's very popular. My brother and his wife had seen it all, embarrassing me further. I returned to their house for the time being. Layla was completely enamored with my child, cooing, "So cute, so cute," making me laugh along with her. Hey Felice, what? That doctor is a genuinely good man. Apparently, Dr. Lloyd had inquired about various things when my brother visited, and was candid about his good and bad points. After hearing it all, he expressed a desire to be a father to my child. Don't rush, it's just a brother's wish for your happiness. The word remarriage flickered in my mind, along with everything Dr. Lloyd had done for me. Truth be told, I felt anxious. Although I didn't want to be with Thornton anymore, I wondered if it was right to deprive my child of a father. I had been thinking about this. It's better this way. Do you think a child would be happy with such a man as a father? Dr. Lloyd reassured me. Thanks to those words, having a man like that as a father would only bring hardship. I realized. Everything is going smoothly. Don't worry, your baby is growing up healthy. He always had a comforting word during checkups and even made time to visit during breaks, which greatly reassured me. When he invited me to a meal, I didn't feel any reluctance. In fact, I was rather delighted and found myself blushing. I'm serious about this. I'd be glad if you'd consider it, he said as he left, with a kind smile. Maybe he could be the one, I thought, feeling optimistic. My brother noticed and smiled gently, while Layla watched over us. Now, Felice, time to finalize things. Understood. After settling down post-discharge, I filed a police report against Thornton. I never said I wouldn't file a report if he signed the divorce papers. Therefore, I made sure to submit those documents. With the medical report and his recent behavior at the hospital, Thornton was arrested and ended up behind bars. Despite his attempts to verbally abuse me during the arrest, everyone ignored him. Now I could focus on raising my child in peace. I'm truly sorry. It's not your fault, Karen. With Thornton gone, I allowed my in-laws to meet their grandchild. They were grateful for the chance, despite everything that had happened. Thornton made us believe Felice despised us, so we thought it was best not to interfere. Thornton's manipulation had kept them away, but they wished to help with childcare now. Of course! I smiled in response. Even my in-laws were unaware of Thornton's obsession. Both of them were appalled. We raised him wrong, they said. Can I change the baby's diaper? Thank you. Please do. With my brother and his wife's help, I was managing well. It's about time, isn't it, Felice? Oh, right. I'll just go. I also kept in touch with Dr. Lloyd. Lately, we'd meet for an hour or so for meals or shopping. Sorry to keep you waiting. Your child isn't with you today? I didn't keep you waiting, did I? My brother's watching the baby today. Despite his busy schedule, he made time to see us and even helped look after the baby. As an obstetrician, he was a great support. Above all, he prioritized and treated me kindly, making me feel increasingly drawn to him. By the way, my brother invited us for dinner at their place today. I'd love to. Lloyd responded, so we decided to have him over for dinner. My brother was planning to show off his culinary skills. Did Art make this? Amazing. Nowadays, with both partners working, it's important to share household duties. I'll take notes, said Lloyd with a smile. Then his expression turned serious, and he took my hand. Let me say this again. I promise to make you happy. Please, will you be my girlfriend? At his earnest proposal, we officially started dating. My brother chuckled. Can't believe you just accepted a proposal right in front of me, he said. I'm declaring my intent to make both your sister and her child happy, Lloyd said, and I smiled at him. Meanwhile, Thornton was in a difficult situation. He was released, but tried to contact me again, only to be apprehended by David and sent to a distant relative. He's a tough guy, my cousin. Thornton's having a rough time there. The relative was reputedly the strictest in the family, and Thornton apparently spent his days there screaming. We're going too, said my in-laws, planning to join and keep an eye on Thornton due to his obsessive nature. I let them hold their grandchild again. Thank you, Felice. We'll make sure he fulfills his responsibilities, they assured me before leaving with a smile. Raising a child was still challenging, But with everyone's help, I had nothing to worry about. Another joyous event occurred. I reunited with my father, John, who had been overseas in a remote location and was unaware of my situation. He returned ill, wanting to spend his last days here. I'm glad I could introduce him to you. Yeah, I'm glad I met John. My brother and his wife were a bit harsh on our father. Not coming to your daughter's aid? They scolded, but being able to see him again, even just once more before it's too late, was enough. By the way, you're too soft, they told me, but I'm so happy these days that it doesn't bother me. 3 years flew by. Having settled down, Lloyd and I registered our marriage, officially becoming husband and wife. You started dating right in front of me, yet you're cautious about this? My brother teased. I had rushed into marriage with Thornton and learned my lesson to be more careful. But you forgot, didn't you? Actually, yes. It felt like we were already married. Our child, now grown, fondly calls Lloyd Dad, and he reciprocates with all his heart. As for their biological father, he's still unable to escape from that scary relative. Recently, I met my former in-laws who complained. He's still useless, no matter how much time passes. They said, thinking that Thornton might still be screaming. I couldn't help but laugh. Felice, are you ready? Yes, of course. Today is our wedding day. I had been hesitant about having a wedding ceremony, considering it was my second marriage, my age, and having a child. But my brother and his wife encouraged me, leading to this joyful day. You look beautiful, Felice. Thank you. Let's be happy and laugh together a lot from now on. We made a firm promise and headed to the venue where everyone was waiting. After all the hardships, it's time to embrace abundant happiness. Years later, from this blissful day, I'll find myself expecting a child with Lloyd.